Welcome back to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I am Kyra Mitchell-Lewis, and I am joined today by Sandy Rodriguez, a journalist and author. Sandy is going to talk to us today about reframing you, learning how to successfully reframe your challenges in order to prevail. So I'm really excited to welcome her to the show. So welcome, Sandy, to the Glow Up Girl podcast.
Thank you so much, Kyra. I'm really excited about being here with you today. I do love your show. And yes, just as you were mentioning, I recently wrote a book titled Choose to Prevail, where I help the readers prevail over whatever it is that is causing them grief, whatever is causing them stress, whatever is making them feel less confident than they should, which is something very important. It's very important to overcome all of these feelings so that we can lead not only a happier, more relaxed life, but that we feel more empowered, so that we feel more confident, so that we feel stronger, and that we can do all of the things that we want to do, all of the things that we're meant to do.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You said a whole handful. So let's start by, talking about you and your background. Obviously, you walked away from a successful career in journalism, and you shifted. So can you tell us about your journey?
Absolutely. Here's the thing. For a very long time, I lived in Mexico City. Although I have lived in many different places, I have lived in Puerto Rico, I have lived in Philadelphia, I've lived in Mexico City. I briefly lived in Seoul in South Korea. Now I live in LA. But for the longest of times, I lived in Mexico City, where I was an editorial coordinator for one of the foremost newspapers in Latin America. It was a career path that I found fascinating. I loved it. I can't speak highly enough of what a wonderful time that was. And I did that for a pretty long time, Kyra. I think it was maybe a little bit over 15 years. So that was a lengthy stretch of time. Yeah. And I was at the peak of my career when I felt that it was necessary for me to step down. Now, you might say, well, why? That doesn't even make sense. That's very bizarre. Why would you decide that that was a good idea? Well, here's the thing. I loved my job, loved it. You have no idea. It was a passion for me. Mm-hmm. However, to your audience that has ever worked in journalism, I'm sure everybody can appreciate that journalism is tremendously time consuming, especially when you work for a newspaper. In most lines of work, you might say, okay, you might be reaching the end of your workday and say, okay, I still had something that I need to do, but I'll just do it tomorrow, or I'll just put it off. Or, well, when you work for a newspaper, there's no such possibility. So it's not unheard of for people that work in newspapers, and very specifically on the editorial side, to be working 14 hours a day, 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day. That's the norm. So that's something that I really didn't mind most of the time, because I really did love that. But here's the thing, Kyra, I had a son, and I really could not continue outsourcing his care to nannies or relying on family members, because if I had chosen to have a son, obviously you want to spend a little time with that son. Otherwise, why would you even want to be a mom? It doesn't make sense. Right. So that was one of the reasons that I thought that it would be important for me to do that. It wasn't something that I decided right away. My son was already 8 by that time, but I didn't want him to continue growing any older before I actually had the time to be with him. Now, the other thing is that, again, and I cannot stress this enough, journalism, and specifically editing, and specifically what I used to do there, was a passion for me. I loved it. However, even if you love something, if you adore it, after over a decade and a half, here's the thing, you notice that you missed out on other things because you were doing that. So I had a bit of a revelation. Okay, all of that time I was at my desk doing something that I enjoyed, but that didn't leave me any time to do things that many people do. For instance, I didn't get married over that time period. Forget about dating and stuff like that. That was not even a thing that I was doing because I was at my desk. I also did not interact with my family members, my immediate family, as much as I would have liked, because I was at my desk.
Right.
Unfortunately, my father passed away. It was very untimely and very tragic. My younger brother as well. So I feel very bad about not having been able to spend more time with them because I was at my desk. Again, this is not to say that I regret choices. Everything, you never know what's going to happen, right? So
Right.
it's a situation. But I mean, to put it in terms that are not as dramatic or as heartbreaking, let me give you an example. Let's say that you and I were foodies. Let's say that you and I love to eat the finest of foods and we love to drink the finest of drinks. If
Mm-hmm.
you and I, Kyra, were told, okay, now you are going to be force fed and made to drink 18 hours a day, we would say, yeah, we do love it, but hey, this is like, well,
Right.
I don't know, right? We would feel like those geese that are being force fed for foie gras or something. It would be like, no, not ideal. So that was the thing. I did come to that revelation a little bit uh, later in my career than most people might, and I really did love it. I mean, I cannot stress that enough. But I did think that it was time to do something different, and I thought, okay, maybe it will be a good idea to move to the United States and very specifically to LA um,
Mm-hmm.
for certain reasons. Again, these were not professional reasons in any way, but I thought, well, the LA lifestyle is its very definition more laid back than most. That's the thing. For many
Mm-hmm.
people, LA, like other cities, would seem like hectic or busy or loud, or but to me it's quite the opposite because I come from a very big city, which is Mexico City, and where work hours are just tremendously long. Here in LA, I'm not saying that people are by any means not driven or anything like that, but by contrasting both, I would say that here life moves at a slightly slower pace, and that's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, I have to say that my career transition was not easy at all because I came here and I knew only a handful of people, and there was really no gainful employment to be found. Among other reasons, because this was at a point in history when bloggers and people that create free content were gaining momentum. And most of them
Mm-hmm.
are very good. Not all of them, of course, but many do offer fantastic content. I'm not saying that they don't. But that made it very difficult for somebody to be looking to hire and pay for a journalist, somebody with experience in that field.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to, I was invited to join into a number of interesting projects, writing projects, creative projects, editorial projects, but more as a volunteer, mostly for the fun of it or the experience. But it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
something that I could continue to do because, well, I'm a mom. I needed to make a living, and I needed to find something else to do. And it was a bit of an uphill climb. I can't say that it wasn't, but at some point, I discovered a field that I like just as much as journalism, if not more. And I kind of fell into that. That is the field of court interpreting, which is basically interpreting for the legal system. I work in a courthouse now. I work in one of the largest courthouses in the world, and it's absolutely fascinating. I really love this field. Firstly, it ended up being something that I was just naturally very good at. I mean, I'm not saying that to brag, but it's just interesting. Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, and I
Mm-hmm.
was just very fortunate to discover something that to me comes easily. Uh, I might have found employment in another field, but it might have been a battle. It might have been very difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
And here, this field just opened up, and as it turned out, I was basically a natural. And again, I'm not saying that to be cocky or brag, but it's just
Yeah.
the way things turned out. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing that I love about this Kyra, this field, is that everything is done in real time. In the sense that when you when you work for a newspaper, even if things happen at a hectic pace, you're working now for something that people will see tomorrow or a couple
Right.
of days from today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or in any field, if you start a business, you might, start it today and you will get your returns months into
Right.
the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're something like a pastry chef, you might be baking your pie right now and you'll see the results of your labor 2 hours or 3 hours from now. But
Right.
when it comes to interpreting, it's now and it's only now, exclusively now. You're done, and that's the end of the thing. And it's very interesting. That's something had never experienced before. And
Mm-hmm.
although my current interpreting career is demanding, it's a full time job, it's rigorous. I do have time to do other things such as write my book, to see my son. I continue to write as a contributor for different media outlets in Mexico and the US. I continue um, to edit a magazine. I also paint. Now I'm beginning a career as an
Oh,
artist as well.
I like
But
it.
right, so I mean, it worked out very, very well. It was a
Yeah.
step down financially, but it was a step up as to my quality of life, I think.
That is what's important is you realize that you needed your balance. Like you didn't have the proper balance and you took the steps to get that. And I appreciate, I think that I love, I love your humility, but guess what? There are things that you are great at that other people aren't, and things that come naturally, which obviously tells you that it is what you're supposed to be doing because it comes very easily to you, and you are good at what you do. So I think that that is awesome, and you're able to enjoy life now and enjoy your son and enjoy time with him and get into some other things that maybe you would not have been able to do. And you're still getting to be a journalist too.
Exactly. So it worked out very well in the end. And that's
Oh,
something that people should also consider. That even if you're very happy in your current situation, and I really felt that I was,
mhm.
there are other situations that you might be even happier in. So you can't be afraid of change. You can't be afraid of things. In my case, I chose to walk away from that particular situation. But sometimes circumstances force you out of a job, for instance. Maybe your company closes down or whatever the case may be. And it might be very jarring because you might say, well, but I really enjoyed it. Now what's going to happen? Well, you never know. You might discover something else that might be even better. So that's
Yes.
important also.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's really good because the change that you sought after. A
Mhm.
lot of people don't make that until it is a situation to where it's I've lost a job or there's
Yes.
some situation, experience that happens where they have to pivot. And I think that it says a lot about you as a person that you were able to recognize that and you took the steps. Like you just proactively did what you needed to do to have a better quality of life. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you, Kyra. I also think that it's interesting that from a money perspective, you might think, well, that wasn't the best of choices because maybe you don't have as much disposable income now as you used to. That is true. However, I think that you can be just as happy in that situation, provided you have more time. Because you
Yes.
might be trading money for time. Of course, that doesn't mean that you can go out and say, okay, I don't mind being out on the streets. No, no, of course that's not the case. You do
Right.
need a certain degree of stability. But once you're right, I mean, you don't want to be like in a horrible or risky situation or put your family at
Exactly.
risk or anything like that. But I mean, you don't really need to make millions and millions to be super happy. I mean, that's another fact of life and something that people need to understand as well. Sometimes, I mean, just making a reasonable living can be very fulfilling if other conditions are met, definitely.
Yep. Yep. Nope. I'm right there with you. And I think that's so true. So, well, let's talk about the about your book and why did you write this book? What led to it?
Well, let me tell you, I've always been a big reader. I love reading. I mean, that's
Mhm.
another passion. And
Yes.
certainly, well, you can imagine that I love writing. I used to work as an editor. And here's the thing, I had been involved in just so many different types of writing projects. I've been a ghostwriter, a copywriter, an editor, a magazine contributor. I've done pretty much everything when it comes to writing, but I had not written a book yet. So that was
Mhm.
something that I thought, okay, maybe at some point in my lifetime I will do that. So that was kind of like an idea that was brewing in the back of my mind. And then something
Mhm.
happened that kind of led to the creation of this book, which is that, well, you see, Kyra, because of the fact that I've lived in different places and worked in different fields, I think that I know perhaps more people than most people. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, I have friends in different countries. I have friends in different fields, friends of different ages, different genders, different circles, different lifestyles. And I found something that was a little bit surprising to me recently, like over the past few years. Many of my friends, even the friends that you can assume that they're very accomplished, you can see that they're very well to do, they look that like they have it together, they were telling me that they were feeling very stressed out or very depressed or very concerned, or that they were having like existential angst and anguish, and that a lot of bad things. And I thought, okay, that's very strange. I didn't expect that to be the case. But I was very flattered that they chose to share their concerns with me. I think that they did so because I myself have overcome a series of very trying things, as we all have, or as we have all experienced. Everybody has a little bit of strife in their
Mm-hmm.
lifetime. But I thought maybe I can put a book together that speaks to them, that helps them deal with whatever is causing them grief, be it something big such as the death of a loved one, or something small like being stuck in traffic or not finding something at the store that you were looking for, or somebody blocked you on social media, or something that's like,
Mm-hmm.
something that's minor. We all suffer from different types of things, not to say that they need to be dismissed, but there are so
Right.
many things in our life that are causing us, difficulties. And I thought, okay, I'm going to prepare a book for them that is a quick read, something that they can read over the course of an afternoon. And I want them to feel after they're done like they have more faith in the future, they have more faith in themselves, they feel more empowered, they feel more confident, they feel a larger sense of agency, they feel more strength and more power and more that they can do it, that they will prevail over whatever it is that is causing them difficulties in
Mm-hmm.
whatever situation. So it's a book that is divided into a number of chapters. Each one of them addresses a different type of topic, but it's not a book that is meant to be prescriptive. And it's certainly not a book written from the viewpoint of somebody saying, oh, I am this all knowing entity. I have the
Right.
solution to all. No, no, that's not the idea. In
Right.
fact, in fact, many of the reviewers have said that their experience in reading the book has been very similar to sitting down with a trusted friend to grab a cup of coffee or to grab a beer or to grab a shot of tequila or whatever they like to drink, and just talk it out and see, okay, what is causing you problems, my friend? What can we talk, how can we sort this out together, and see what we can discuss, see what plan we can make together, see what we can come up with that will make you feel empowered, that will make you feel better, just overall better. And that was
Mm-hmm.
the idea, not to come off as this, that like this expert on a pedestal that knows it all. No, but
Right.
rather like a friend that's talking to you and
Yeah.
saying, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
So
No, I like that. What's one thing you would want a reader of your book to take away?
I think there are many different aspects, but one of the
Uh-huh.
main ones, here's the thing. I feel, and this is something that is a recurring theme in the book, I feel that learning to speak in public, learning to get comfortable speaking in public, or
Mm-hmm.
just speaking when you're out and about, feeling comfortable in social situations is something very important, no matter what field you're in. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't come naturally to many. Many of us are very self conscious at certain points in life, maybe when we're
Mm-hmm.
younger, maybe as teenagers, maybe throughout our lifetime. And I personally had a situation where I was extremely self-conscious, like you have no idea. Even in college I couldn't even raise my hand to ask a question because I would
Oh.
stammer, I would blush, I would sweat, I would quiver, I would faint. It was like a mess. And I came up with techniques that allowed me to totally overcome that. And now I'm a professional speaker. I seek out public engagements. I host videos. I mean, my line of work as a court interpreter requires me to be in the spotlight and speaking in front of a judge, a jury, a bunch of people, like all the time. And I could not be more comfortable. It's just something that I do very comfortably now. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that for our friends out there, if you want to develop a skill that will serve you well, no matter what your situation in life is or what it is that you do, I think public speaking is one of the foremost skills that you can focus on. And
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It's something that causes a lot of people a lot of fear. It's something that it's I mean, many people are, camera shy, or it's just like they're terrified of being seen. Well, one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that I discuss in the book at length, and I would like to mention here maybe in brief, is that most of us feel very self-conscious because we believe that people are super focused on us, that they're staring at us, searching for flaws, that they're
Right.
looking to criticize. And, that's not really the case. I mean, and you need to really internalize the fact that people are, for the most part, not even paying attention. For instance, I would like to ask your audience to think about a friend of theirs or somebody that they sometimes see around the office or sometimes they see around the neighborhood. Okay, what was that person wearing? Or what shoes were they wearing the last 2 or 3 times that you saw them? I honestly think that nobody remembers, at least not in
Right.
great detail. Even if they were wearing something beautiful and stunning or horrible and hideous, people just don't notice. They don't notice. So
Mm-hmm.
that is very freeing. Again, it might be a little bit of an ego blow, like, hey, so they're not noticing. Well, no, but that's very freeing. It's very, very freeing. Even when you go to something you're very interested in, be it a concert or a movie or a play or, I don't know, a sporting event, even if it's very interesting to you, even if you paid good money for tickets, even if it's somebody you like to watch, your favorite star, you're a fan, or maybe you're a sports fan, you're not exactly 100% focused on an individual for all of the entirety of the event. It just doesn't happen. Your mind wanders. You're not super,
Mm-hmm.
super focused. And once we understand that, you'll see that people are not like looking for flaws. They're thinking about something else entirely. They're in their own head. They're in their own little world. Now you
Right.
might say, right, and you might say, well, no, that's not accurate because I see that sometimes celebrities say something and they might tweet something or do something and it's all over the internet and people are discussing that one little mistake that they made. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but bear in mind, those are, I mean, that happens like 0.00000%
Right.
of the time. That's not a thing. It's very unique, and also it tends to go away. That's not something that is
Mm-hmm.
likely to happen to us personally.
Exactly.
So right, so that's one of the ways that you can reframe your experience. Um, Definitely. I also mention several other tips in the book that might help people overcome that problem. But that brings us to another issue, Kyra, because you might think, well, that's kind of great because now I feel very free. I might lose that sense of self-consciousness. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, well, I don't want to like blend into the background. I want people to pay attention to me. I want
Right.
people, right, to know that I exist, that I'm here. Maybe I
Mm-hmm.
want to promote my company. Maybe I want to promote myself. How can I do that? I mean, it's awful that people are not paying attention. Well, I also discuss that in the book again in a lengthier way. But one of the ways to actually stand out in a sea of faces is to be yourself. I know that's easier said than done, and I know that
Mm-hmm.
that sounds like, well, that's the advice everybody gives you. No, but I mean that in a more profound way. Sometimes, like let's say in a social situation when we're new to a group or new to a workplace, we might feel the need to fit in 100%. We might tone down some of the aspects of our personality to
Mm-hmm.
just meld into whatever is going on. And that's
Right.
fine. But trying to super fit in makes you very forgettable. It does.
Yes.
It's something that, like for instance, if you're an actor, for instance, and many of the people that I know here in California are actors, if you try to look exactly like all of the other people that an audition and, be like everybody else in your category or your type, you won't be very memorable. You need to have something unique. And it's not something that you can fake or force yourself to do. You can't say, okay, then I'll do a weird thing that I'm going to plan. I'm going to have like this shtick or this thing or this quirk that I'm making up. You cannot do
Mm-hmm.
that. It has to be something natural because otherwise people can tell. And
Right.
once you let the more unusual facets or aspects of your personality shine through, surprisingly, people start taking their cues from you and you start becoming more influential. So it's quite interesting just letting your personality shine through, even if it's a little bit. Yeah, everybody has their own weirdness, their own natural weirdness, and
Yeah.
right, and then you let that show. It's a good thing. It is.
Yeah. We're all a little quirky.
Right, exactly,
And
exactly.
yeah, and yeah, I definitely agree with you that It's just to be authentic and people truly being that is so important versus trying to fit a mold or a template that you think people want you or what you think people want you to be. So it's just like, don't do that. Just be you.
Exactly. But there's the other thing that's also quite fascinating because people can do it at any age and at any point in time is that, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you are who you are. That's a fact. But the
Right.
other thing is that you are not static. You are subject to change, and the change can come from within if you want
Mm-hmm.
to, whenever you want to. You can't say, well, I've always been shy, or I've always been a loser, or this or that. You cannot. I mean, if you say that, it will happen. And if
Mm-hmm.
you honestly believe that something like that is the case, it's up to you to change that, but like right now. And it's something you can definitely do. There is a theory, Kyra, that is a theory set forth by philosophers, by religions, by psychologists. It's a theory that is pretty much accepted universally, which is that whatever you say after the words "I am" is what you will eventually come to be. And this is very interesting because you need to talk to yourself and to others in a
Mm-hmm.
positive manner about
Yes.
yourself. For
Yeah.
instance, you can't go around, for instance, if you go around saying, I'm lazy, I'm not athletic, I'm fat, I'm flabby, guess what? That will happen. I mean, that definitely will happen. But if your self concept shifts because you shifted consciously and you say, no, I'm not
Yeah.
going to say that about myself anymore. I'm just going
Yeah.
to tell people, I'm athletic. I'm interested in fitness. I am. And you tell yourself, I'm an athlete. I'm a runner. I'm a bike rider. I'm a cyclist. I'm um, I'm athletic. I'm just a very fit person. I'm interested in fitness. That is my passion. Sooner or
Mm-hmm.
later, it will happen. It will happen through a number of mechanisms. If you believe in things like the law of assumption and such, surely that might be the case. If you don't believe in that, well, there's also very practical reasons and very real life and very mundane reasons why that may come to pass. If you tell your friends you're interested in fitness, well, they will not be offering you like a hot fudge sundae, but rather they might be inviting you on a hiking trip, for instance.
Right.
So all of a sudden, you're doing things, you're getting invited to more fitness focused activities. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you tell yourself, okay, I'm an athlete, well, what do athletes do? Well, they go to bed early. They're not partying all night. They're not drinking every day. They're not eating foods that are not good for them. They're
Mm-hmm.
working out longer. They're making more of an effort. They're not sitting down on the couch all day long. So it really is a thing that works in many ways. It works in magic and mysterious ways. In some, I believe that it does up to a certain degree, but it also has very, very, very real, very tangible um, mechanisms that lead it to come to pass.
Right.
And I think that that's something important. Like, even for instance, let's say that all your life, let's say that you are an adult now, but all your life you were at school like not the hot guy, not the hot girl. You were the nerd. Nobody was interested in you. You
Mm-hmm.
can choose to continue on that path and just settle for partners that are not what you expected and even end up in abusive relationships because that's your thought as an adult. You can say, hey, 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 well, maybe that was the case. Well, that is no longer the case. I'm attractive, I'm sexy, I'm desirable. And it's something that it really changes something in your mind. When you can make yourself believe something, and it's not that you have to go around telling your friends, yeah, 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 I'm super desirable, because that would be like a silly conversation. But if you
Right.
believe that about yourself, it causes you to not accept situations that
Mm-hmm.
are not well suited. Let's say
Right.
that if I sincerely believe that I am a person that is not only worthy of love, but worthy of, I mean, like super sexy, like I'm irresistible. If I honestly believe that, if I actually make myself believe something like that, and I meet somebody that's treated me poorly or that's cheating or that's weird, well, I will say, no, that's not acceptable. And my
Mm-hmm.
life will go down a better path. However,
Right.
if I'm still thinking, well, yeah, in high school, and yeah, I was, never the last one picked to dance, the wallflower, this and that, maybe I will fall into abusive situations. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very important for us to like strengthen that self concept and not fall prey to situations that will lead us down a path that we don't want. However, the thing is that sometimes we don't want to, you know, be thought of as boastful or cocky. We don't want that either, because it's not great to, like, for instance, right now
Hmm.
during the pandemic, a lot of people lost their jobs, so it might not come off very well to say, hey, my business is booming, when everybody else might not be in the same situation. That might not be appropriate. But you
Hmm.
also cannot say, to make them feel better, say, yeah, I'm doing very poorly myself, my life is also going
Exactly.
terribly. No, do
Yeah.
not put yourself down. That's
Nope.
not that's not not a good thing. Never,
Yeah.
ever, ever.
No.
Mhm,
No.
mhm.
Definitely no. But I agree with you. I think like self affirmation is really important and
Yes,
key, and you
yes.
definitely have to speak to yourself in a loving and meaningful way. And I was actually just having a conversation with someone. I said it's the words that follow.
Yes,
I am strong. I am capable. You have to speak those things and believe those things. And if you affirm yourself, you don't need that validation from other people.
exactly. But the interesting thing is that it actually comes to pass in the outer world as well. If you
Hmm.
start thinking, I am, I'm a loser, I'm a loser, people will eventually perceive you that way. I mean,
Yeah.
the other way around. If you think people are always nice to me, my friends are always great, I always encounter nice situations, I always find fun activities, people are always inviting me places. Well, guess what? It does actually come to pass. That's the other
Hmm.
important thing. Not only do we need to switch our self concept into something that serves us better, but we also need to develop better expectations for the people we interact with, because I have seen that people tend to live up to whatever reputation they perceive themselves to have. So
Hmm.
if I tell a friend, you're always late, my friend is going to say, Sandy thinks I'm always late. You know what?
So I'm
I'm just
gonna be late.
absolutely, absolutely. However, if I
Yes.
tell a friend, even if I don't necessarily believe it at the time, if I tell a friend, you always wear beautiful sweaters, they're always going to be wearing beautiful sweaters when they see me, because they'll think, oh, she believes that I have a great sweater collection. Let me find my nicest one.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
people do live up to whatever you
Yes.
tell them that you think about them, be it good or be it bad. So why not let the people around us know that we hold them in high regard, that we think highly of them? They will live up to that reputation. Think about it. If somebody thinks that you are always, I don't know, very patient, I don't think you would like to show any impatience when you're near them, because you would think, no, I mean, I don't want to like make them,
Right.
lose faith in me. Of course. So people do try to live up to whatever you're thinking about them. And it
Hmm.
works almost in magical ways. If we go into situations expecting people to be pleasant, helpful, kind, they tend to. It's quite fascinating, even if it's something like, I think we can all relate to this. When we place a call to, say, a customer service line, normally we think, I'll be wasting my time. It'll be an all morning thing. It's, oh my goodness, it won't work. And it normally doesn't. But normally, when you go into those situations saying, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to find somebody that can help me out, and
Hmm.
you engage in a way that the call center person finds pleasant, they might
Right.
be more open to helping you out. They might find a quicker solution. Even the tone of your voice, if you're like, yeah, I don't know, you can help me with this and that. I mean, I don't think you will find great service. You won't find great service.
Exactly.
So it
Yes.
really, it really is a very good idea, not only to think highly of yourself, but also
Hmm.
to think highly of the people around you, whoever you're
Right.
interacting with. It really works miracles. It's very surprising. It's something people need to try.
Exactly. No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think that's all really true. But I think those are just some good real life examples that a lot of times people don't think about, because I guarantee you that most people, when they go into calling the customer service or someone or a line, they already think, well, I mean, and you can just tell, and even sometimes with the customer, the actual representatives,
Yeah.
they sometimes don't answer the phone with, I think they answer with the anticipation that they're going to get somebody
Yes.
on the other end that is going to be like rude to them. So, when you greet them with gratitude and a pleasant attitude, you can hear that shift in the voice where they're like, oh, hi, I'm great. Thanks for asking.
So going back to the scenario with the customer service people, yes, you need to, if you go around changing your concept about them,
Hmm.
thinking, uh, the person on the line is going to be nice and helpful. You can also do a two-pronged thing. Think that about them, and also think, I always get customer service. I'm just super lucky. No matter when I call or what the reason is or what the problem is, it gets sorted out like super fast. I'm just lucky that way. And it
Mm-hmm.
does tend to happen. It does tend to happen. It's almost magic. It's something you need to try.
Yes, I like that. Well, can you let the audience know where they can purchase your book?
Thank you so much, Kyra. Yes, it's actually available pretty much everywhere. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it at Barnes& and Noble. You can buy it on Target.com. You can buy it at Walmart.com. You can buy it pretty much from any major platform. You can also buy it if you want a signed copy. There is one particular website that offers signed copies, and that is heartofhollywoodmagazine.com. On heartofhollywoodmagazine.com, they're uh, offering not only signed copies, but also pretty cool merchandise. They have T-shirts with the Choose to Prevail logo, which some people, friends of mine have been wearing these T-shirts, and also people I have never met have been wearing these T-shirts. And I think that the feedback they get is quite favorable, because some people might know that Choose to Prevail is a book, and that's fantastic. That's more publicity for my book. Awesome. But even if nobody knows it's a book, even if people think it's just like a random saying on a T-shirt, it's a very interesting saying, because somebody that has the words Choose to Prevail on a T-shirt is clearly somebody that's very positive. It's clearly somebody that's empowered. It's clearly somebody that is making a choice. It's not somebody that is, letting things happen to them. No, no, no. It's a person that is taking action to make things better, and it's a confident person. So if anybody wants either the book or the T-shirt, that's at heartofhollywoodmagazine.com. If you want just the book, either as an ebook or as a paperback, any platform has the book at this time right now.
Perfect, perfect. Well, before I let you go, I like to always do these 5 things. We're doing 5 things with Sandy.
Okay.
So, first question is, how do you start your day?
Okay. Firstly, well, let me tell you, now it's a little bit different. In the past, I used to work out first thing in the morning. That was my number one thing, working out in the morning. Now I mostly do it at noontime. But okay, that was my idea. I think that it's a very good idea to start your day off with exercise, because sometimes life gets in the way and you might not do it later in the day. It sets the tone for the day.
Right.
Now I do something a little bit different. The very first thing I do is I go online and I check to see how my book is doing. I must confess that that's the very first thing I'm doing. But yeah, I think I'll go back to the workouts as soon as as soon as I feel more confident that the book is in more people's hands. But yeah.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned that you enjoy reading. So, what books are you currently reading right now?
Okay, I just finished a fantastic one last night. So I would say that that's the one that I was reading. It's called The Socrates Express by one of my favorite authors, Eric Weiner. Fantastic. It's like a very unusual travel memoir in which he discusses the thinkings of great philosophers throughout the ages, but he ties it in with travel. So it's very interesting. And isn't it a cool concept, right? And the one that I'm about to start right now is the new Sophie Kinsella. I mean, I like philosophy, but I also like music.
Yeah.
So
I like her
love
books.
This one is brand new. It's called Love Your Life. I met her once. She is amazing. And, sometimes we need to laugh. And Sophie Kinsella, they make you laugh out loud. So who doesn't need that, right?
Yeah. No, that sounds great. Okay, number 3. What's one positive affirmation you say to yourself daily?
Really? And again, this is not only promotion, but it's a real thing. I choose to prevail. And
yes.
That's the thing, no matter what the situation may be. I will eventually be the winner. I will eventually be the victor. Why? Because I choose this thing. And you can say that as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Number 4, how do you deal with a challenging day?
Okay. It's interesting because sometimes when we're in the heat of feeling annoyed or feeling stressed out, normally, I don't think anybody says, oh, I'm always super zen, I'm always super relaxed. No, that's not the case. But here's the thing, and I mentioned this in the book. It's important to compare and contrast things that are minor annoyances with things that are true tragedies. I have lived through many true tragedies. I mean, there's no way that I can describe these experiences in any other way. So maybe sometimes things might be annoying or stressful. And I can't say that it doesn't happen. And I can't say that I'm always like, oh, yeah, super relaxed. No. But I need to take a step back and say, okay, I'm stuck in traffic, step back.
Right.
Can this experience compare to that other experience I had? No. So
Yeah.
that really puts things into perspective. You need to think
Very.
about
Yeah.
situations in your own life and understand when it's just that you're making a mountain out of a molehill, I think.
Yes, that's a great perspective to have. Very good. And lastly, how do you end the day?
Okay, now that's the thing. Normally, I normally try to end my day by reading because
Mm-hmm.
again, that's the one time that I have. I have very, very, very busy days, like very. Even now with the more time on my hands situation,
Mm-hmm.
you would assume that I have a lot of free time, and I
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
do,
yeah.
but not really because I have a lot of things going on. And actually, having more free time led me to discover more passions. Now I'm also, like I was mentioning, an artist. I'm also an amateur winemaker. I make wine as well. I socialize a lot more, so I have kind of not too much time for reading, but it is my one first love. So I always make time for reading in the evening. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Occasionally, I might choose not to read that one day, but maybe wrap up the day with a TV show. I'm not a big TV person. In fact, I stopped owning a TV set way before anybody else. I have not owned a TV set per se in 20 years at least. And I do watch, now streaming
Mm-hmm.
shows, but I do that on my computer or on my phone. I don't actually own a TV set per se, even though I was an entertainment editor for many, many years. And I also review movies and TV shows for different media outlets, but I don't own a TV. That's, that's the thing. But I do like watching. Sometimes I like watching shows that, for whatever reason, speak to me. Like recently, I really love The Queen's Gambit on Netflix. People are loving that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also one of the early fans of Cobra Kai, which is
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Awesome. It used to be on YouTube. Now it's Netflix as well. Amazing. I think it's a great show because it kind of ties in with the book up to a certain point. It talks, okay, it shows, for those who don't know, it's a TV series about the Karate Kid, but like a bunch of years later, decades
Mm-hmm.
after the fact. So we all remember that the Karate Kid, Daniel, used to be the
Mm-hmm.
underdog, the victim, and this other guy, Johnny, used to be the bully, the bad guy. And
Right.
now in the series, we see that the roles have shifted, and we learn that nobody perceived the original experience like the other person did. Johnny believes that he was victimized by Daniel. Daniel believed that he was victimized by Johnny. So it's
Mm-hmm.
quite interesting. It enables us to see things from different people's perspectives, and that's something that happens in real life as well. I think
Right.
that often, right, in real life, we never know what's going on through another individual's
It's,
mind.
yep.
So we
Yeah.
might think he's being mean, he's being a bully, he's being horrible, he doesn't like me. We don't know. So why would we even entertain those thoughts? Don't. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's going through their mind. It's so much better to have higher expectations for the other person and just assume the best about them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. I agree. Awesome. That was such great answers. I love that. I love your answers.
Thank you
Um,
kindly.
and well, Sandy, what's next for you? What's happening and what are you most looking forward to in 2021?
Wow. Well, let me tell you, a lot of people did not like 2020, but to be honest, I mean, health concerns aside, I really did. I thought it was a great year for me. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking 2021 will be even better. Right now in 2020, I focused mostly on the book project,
Mm-hmm.
completing the book project, getting it published, doing the marketing. That took a lot of time. So art had to fall a little bit to the wayside temporarily,
Mm-hmm.
although I did paint a little at the beginning of the year, and I look forward to exploring that in more depth next year. I was planning to host an art show along with my artist mom. My mom's an artist, and my friend Giovanna Salas, also an artist. However, we
Mm-hmm.
were forced to not do that this year because of
Mm-hmm.
reasons known to all. But we're hoping that next year we will be able to have different gallery exhibitions or art shows at a certain point in time, maybe smaller scale. That would be something that I'm looking forward to.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Well, please, 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 always remember Glow Up Girl podcast and come back whenever you want to share some new news with me. And this has been a pleasure to speak to you. I think your story is very inspiring and will inspire a lot of people who may be on a similar journey as you have walked already. So thank you, Sandy, so much for joining us today, and much success to you in the future.
Thank you so much, Kyra. It was a delight.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned, guys. I'll be right back.